Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Ledoux, and I'm the Director of Hospitality and Restaurant Management at the Institute of Culinary Education. Welcome to this installment of our guest lecture series. As a reminder, this demonstration is being broadcast, so if you're watching online, please post your questions to the YouTube chat. And for our students and staff here today, please wait for us to hand around the microphone so we can hear all your questions. Our goal in these series of demos and lectures is to highlight the culinary excellence of contemporary chefs and culinary entrepreneurs. In the recent past, we have hosted Chef Michael Cimarusti of the Michelin-starred Providence, Chef Neil Frazier of Redbird, Chef Stephanie Izard of The Girl and the Goat, and most recently, Sam B., the CEO of the Jose Andres Group. Our guest today is Daniel Shemtob. He is a chef and entrepreneur and the co-founder CEO of The Lime Truck, founded in 2010. It's Southern California's cult favorite food truck and catering brand. He later created Hatch, which is a yakitori bar, in 2016. And he recently, actually in 2020, launched Snips, a chef-designed footwear company. Daniel took the lime green truck and turned it into the multi-unit international operation and became two-time champion of Food Network's The Great Food Truck Race and the only All-Star season in 2021. Please join me in welcoming Daniel Shemtob.
Thank you.
So Daniel, we have many management students, culinary students, pastry students, and they're all here to hear your story.
Yeah.
What a fascinating journey you've had.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started in this wonderful industry.
Absolutely. So it's actually a funny story. So when I was 19, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so at the time I was working at a company and thought, okay, this is something I've learned how to do. I was managing the company as a pretty young manager at the time. And so I started that company on Verdugo in Burbank, so pretty close by actually. And in 4 months, that company went bankrupt. I went bankrupt. So it was a really fast fall. I had a TV commercial and we generated a decent amount of revenue, and I hated going to work. It was a really weird thing at 20 years old to be owning your own business and not wanting to go into the business that you own. And so in Orange County, back to my where I grew up, and I thought to myself, like, okay, I know I like being an entrepreneur. I know I like hustling and working hard, but I need to find something I'm passionate about. And at the time, I only had two passions. One was food, and the other was fashion. And so at the time, it was 2010. So you guys are mostly look a lot younger than me, but in 2010. The food truck scene had just started in Orange County in LA. And so I think Koji had been around for a few months. There was obviously catering trucks that were doing like routes for construction, and then a few trucks that were coming up around the same time as Koji. And so not having much to my name, having a bankruptcy, and I scraped together like $5,000, found one of my high school best friends who also wanted to be a chef, who wanted to do it with me, put in $5,000. We borrowed a little bit of money and we started the Lime Truck.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And when we started it, we had no employees. So every day we would go on the truck. And then when we were finished doing lunch and dinner, I would go back and do payroll, whatever marketing, respond to emails, stuff like that. And it was a grind. We didn't get our first employee until our 6 month in business, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, it was just a hustle of love and joy. And I think one thing was you guys are doing that's very different than what I did was, this is a real thing. So we were so ambitious, but so bad at the same time. And so what happened was we wrote this menu, and what we wanted the menu to be was healthy by day and then decadent by night. Everything being scratch made, but like, you know, kind of serving two purposes, like the corporate crowd and then the late night crowd. And a week into it, I'm eating the food with my business partner, Jason Quinn, and we look at each other and I'm like, this sucks. And he's like, yeah, I know. I don't really think it tastes good either. And I was like, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I'm really struggling making this consistently. And I'm like, well, shoot, that's like literally the job of a chef is to make food consistently. Like that's more important than even making great food. And so at the time we were like, you know what, this is a potential weakness, and we turned it into our strength, and we did a brand new menu every day for that first year and a half. And we won Best New Restaurant that year. We're the only food truck to ever win that in Orange County. Top 10 trucks in America. We got asked to be on the Great Food Truck Race. Top food truck by OC Register. It was like a whirlwind of change, but it was that moment where we took a weakness that we weren't great chefs and turned it into a strength, being like, hey, we're going to try new things every day, and some of them might be amazing, some of them might not, but we'll put our heart on every plate, we'll put our passion into every moment, and people really love that. And for the most part, I think our food was really good, but we had the rare occurrence where it wouldn't be, but it was it was fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of students that want to, start their own food truck as their concept for their business plan.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the technical stuff, maybe you could speak to that, regarding permitting and, commissary kitchen, how you set yourself up for success in that way.
Yeah. So just, I didn't finish the story, but I've had my food trucks now for 15 years. There's 5 of them. We've been pretty successful. I would say definitely on the longer side of food truck life in the world. And I think there's a few things that you need to kind of really identify. And I'll share this with you after, but I have a masterclass on how to start a food truck. And if anyone's interested, I will give it to you guys for free as a gift. You just have to email me. And so I'd be happy to do that for you guys.
That.
Yeah,
Right? Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And so obviously I want you guys to succeed. That's why I'm here. And so with that food truck, I think the biggest things that you need to identify, if that's what you want to do, is it's about menu flow, and having a concise menu. The biggest shift, so I've had, in my career, I've opened 9 restaurants. I have 1 restaurant today. I did it internationally. I did it here. And the biggest difference between a food truck and a restaurant is, in a restaurant, you really have to have every item every day. And if someone comes to you for that item and you don't have it, it's a very bad experience for them. With a food truck, that exists, but only with 1 or 2 things. You could have maybe 7 items on your menu. A food truck can have 5 items on their menu. And if you don't have maybe your top seller, people are going to be upset, but people are more forgiving with food trucks. And so you need to figure out what's going to be concise, what's going to hit most people's palate. That, like, hey, LA is diverse. We have vegans, we have gluten-free, we have really healthy people, we have people who want decadence, and you don't have to cater to all of them, but if you're able to cater to more of them, you're going to be able to be more successful. And so being able to identify a menu that's concise, that does that you can replicate well and do it on a truck. There are a lot of food trucks that open that have commercial kitchens separate of their food truck. I don't recommend it. You have to operate 2 different businesses. You're operating a commissary kitchen and you're operating a truck at the same time. And you're only 1 person. And I just mentioned I didn't have my first employee for 6 months. So imagine you're in the commercial kitchen setting up for an event, and then you're not on the truck. And so having a menu that allows you flex is other really important thing. To give you an example. So we do a carnitas. We're really famous for it. It's 4.5 hours. I can get it down to 3. It's either 3.5 to 4.5 hours, depending on how I'm cooking it. It's 4.5 if I want it perfect. And so if I want to do an event tomorrow and there's 1,000 people there, I have to think about that way in advance on that pork, because it takes 4.5 hours. I have to pull it, so I have to do that the day before. Okay, it's manageable, right? But then what happens if I go to that event and there's 2 times the amount of people I expected? I didn't prep 4.5 hours of carnitas twice. So I won't have enough food, and I'm going to sell out, and I'm going to miss my opportunity. The same thing happens on the other end. If I go there and there's no one there, I now prepped all this pork I have to throw away. This is the inherent problem with food trucks, is that it's not consistent like a restaurant. So you have to run it knowing that there's fluctuations in your business. And so ahi, for most of you guys who are going to buy it, it comes pre-cut into little cubes, and they sell it all from the same 3 manufacturers. All the poke restaurants are using that same ahi. And so that poke is frozen. It takes, I would say, 15 minutes to defrost it under cold water. if you're on your truck and you don't have anything else to sell and you have poke there, you can make ahi tacos, you can make poke bowls, you can do whatever you want. And that allows you, that same event, way more flexibility, 4 hours of less prep. And so this is the challenge with food trucks, which is you need flexibility in your menu and menu design. And if you can figure that part out, a lot of the rest of the food trucking is easy. I know it's kind of crazy to say, but the biggest exponential factor where you can grow faster and allow your business to scale and actually be successful as a food truck is having a menu that will cover you in rainy days, that will allow you when you're busy to make more money, and that is like concise enough where people can kind of understand that. Now, that's not to say if you're wanting to build a barbecue truck and that's everything that you want to do, there's ways to make a barbecue menu work on a food truck. There's ways to make carnitas work on a food truck. Maybe you don't get to have it for everybody. Maybe it sells out every day, but you have to have that ability to flex. That's really important.
Thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
a good tip, right, everyone? Yeah. So how do you pick your location for your food truck, and how do you schedule that, and do you announce it in social media? Give us a little background in regards to the location.
Yeah. So picking a food truck location is arguably one of the most important parts, right? You show up to the wrong place, no business, not very good. And so how you do it is unique. I think it's important to kind of understand also food trucks, the model of taking a food truck to even Colorado. Are there food trucks on Colorado Street right now? I don't think I see very many out there. So the idea of going on a food truck to a street corner is very hard. In fact, I would say that business model isn't very practical anymore. You can still do it. It's really hard to make enough revenue and build consistency. So what you need to do is you need to find locations that you can build spots on. So, hey, it's Tuesday, and every Tuesday I'm at this one office park. It's Wednesday, and I'm at this brewery. It's Thursday, and I'm in downtown LA. The more you can build what I would call consistent stops, that's how you're going to build culture. And you need to let them know when you're there on Monday, hey, I'll be here every Monday for the next 3 months, and know that it's an investment. Most times when you open a restaurant, those first few months you're not busy, you're building a consistency. And so you're doing the same thing with a food truck when you pick your location. And then how you pick your location, when I start, and this is, I own a footwear business that we sell shoes, right? Anytime you start a business or any idea, you need to leverage other communities. You need to leverage other people's success. That's just like, tomorrow if you want to go get a job, you can go apply like everybody else, with the manager. Or if you have a friend who's a manager or a friend who's a restaurant owner and they make that connection for you, the odds of you getting that job are 5 times more likely. So using your network and your community, and if you don't have it, creating that network and community is going to be your biggest catalyst to success. It's like putting, oil to the fire. So when you're looking for locations, if you can find people that have built-in audiences. So breweries are a prime example. Most breweries do not have food. What happens when people drink? They get hungry. Yeah, exactly, right? And so if you're there and you're serving food, that's already a symbiotic relationship where you're leveraging their network, their community, their customers to build audience for yourself. Office parks, same thing. If you know there's an office park, and there's a ton around here, and they have 3 restaurants, and everyone's so tired of eating at these 3 restaurants, that's a good audience for you. And now there's a way to do it correctly where you want to do it nicely to the restaurants that are there. You don't want to hurt anyone in the industry. That's not a good way to do this, but you do want to build those relationships and build that relationship to take their audience. So that's one way that I would look at it. Another thing that happens with food trucks that make food trucks really successful is catering. My food truck does 90% catering. That is crazy, right? And it's important to hear that because a lot of times people come into this food truck business thinking it's going to locations and stopping. I only do that to drive more catering. So I'll go to, I did the Brentwood Farmers Market. I was doing it for a while. I don't do it anymore. And we were losing $80 every time I went there. But I would book more catering in Brentwood. So I was all right. I lose $80 here, but I'm booking a $3,000 catering event, and that's making me more money. So, that's another way to look at it, which is where you park can build more brand awareness. I might bring my food truck to a event in downtown LA where there's 100,000 people, and I should make money. But in my mind, I'm like, even if I don't make money, that's 100,000 people seeing my brand. And then if I have a menu that's flexible, okay, great, I can make money there. If I don't, I'm not going to lose a bunch of money because I threw away a bunch of pork at the end of the event. So they all kind of work within each other, but I'm going to answer every question you give me in a really long answer.
That's good. That's good.
But I think the main thing when you're looking for locations is how do I get their audience? And what we used to do, I did such crazy things when I started this food truck. Okay, so I used to go into Trader Joe's and act like I was a Trader Joe's sampler, but I would be sampling my food truck stuff, and they would shoo me out of Trader Joe's. And that's the tenacity and the grit that it takes to be like an operator in a market like that. But I would find ways to find people to get my truck, and I would go literally into offices, and there's always one person who controls all the communication in an office. It's the office admin. Go into the office and say, hey, if you send out an email or a text or a Slack or whatever system of communication you use to your office of 300 people, I'll buy your lunch for free. It costs you $10. Now 300 people know you're outside. And then if you do that and build a relationship with her, you want to do that the day before. Because most people plan their lunch, at least when I was in an office, I planned my lunch the day before because I'm like, oh, do I want to eat out? Do I want to bring from home? And so if you can get that office admin, their contact, and connect with them, that's such a small price to pay to get access to that many people. And so that's how I think. And when I work with breweries, I would always take their beer and make a dish out of it. That was really fun. Yeah, and it's we would do that, and what that would do is make people feel like, oh, I have to try the Mischief Brewery poutine because you took that beer and you turned it into a cheese sauce. It's simple things like that are just classic. You guys use beer and food when you're making stuff, right? So using that to kind of make that collaboration more sticky. And yeah, coffee shops, and there's tons of places that can benefit from having a food truck.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about permitting and those types of things for having your truck? Can you tell them a little bit about that, what that looks like?
I wish permitting was easier. LA is a nightmare of permitting. Pasadena has their own health certificate that you have to go get, and Pasadena is annoying. You have to go in person, so it's an extra problem. So you have to do that. You have to get city permits. Los Angeles County, if you get that permit, a lot of city permits apply to it. I think there's, don't quote me, but let's say there's 40 plus municipals in LA County. 20 of them require their own license, and the other 20 let you have that master license. So Santa Monica is really annoying. It's as difficult as Pasadena. Beverly Hills doesn't want food trucks at all, so you have to be really careful with there. So I would suggest there's two ways to figure this out. One is ChatGPT, our good friend trusted ChatGPT. Another is to call the health department, and they will not love you for calling them to ask this information, but they have to answer it. So it's about persistence. They're in Baldwin Park. They'll answer a lot of your questions. And then here's the thing I shouldn't tell you great things, but I'm going to. So there's a couple ways to make it easier. If the truck already has a permit. So in LA, and this is a strong suggestion for anyone who wants a food truck, nobody go buy your truck. Going and buying a truck is a crazy thing to do. It took me 8 years of being an operator before I bought my own truck. Until then, I was always leasing trucks. It's a little bit more expensive, but way less risk. And also someone else is dealing with your issues and someone else is dealing with your permitting. So in most cases, I think leasing a truck is really smart. And once you've been oh, I get it, I want to do this for longer, then you can go buy your truck the way you want. So if you get a leased truck, you're supposed to go to the health department and re-register, but 80% of the industry doesn't do that. And if you get caught, it's a slap on the wrist. They don't really care. So you could go get a pre-existing license, and then to operate in each city, you need an additional license. Orange County is way easier. Santa Barbara is way easier. Riverside, mixed bag. San Bernardino, mixed bag. But around here, LA, it's definitely most of them.
Good to know, right?
And also, I've operated across the U.S. LA has, and Orange County, but LA has some of the strictest guidelines in the whole country. lucky that we're here.
Yeah, right. But we have so many people, don't we?
We do, and we have a good food truck culture, and we have way more sunny days than most other places.
True, very true. So tell us a little bit about your experience with the Food Network. You know, everybody, how did you transition from being in Orange County, and how did that, work? Because I think everybody has aspirations to be in, food media.
Yeah. So I will share that story, and then I'll share where I think food media has gone, because I think it's a little bit different than what it was. So when we launched our food truck, it was the same month that the Great Food Truck Race came out. So it was 2010. And we watched that first season, and we were like, man, if they ever do a second season, we're definitely going to be on that. And sure enough, 10 months later, we got a call being like, hey, we think you'd be perfect for it. Would you join it? And so, that's really lucky, right? And I think I had shared that we won all those accolades. So LA, everything gets casted here in LA or New York. Most of it gets casted here in LA. So being in LA, you already have a huge step up on the rest of the United States, because it's cheaper for them to bring you on the show than to fly out someone from North Carolina or whatever. So you have that going for you. They asked us to be on the show. It was kind of a really sticky process. Anytime you do TV production, they really don't treat you well until you're like a huge star. And so until 2 days prior to the show, they didn't tell us we were on it yet. They were like, oh, maybe you'll be on it, maybe you won't, which is, pretty crazy. Like for you to go up on a 2-month road trip, with 2 days notice, which is what happened. But yeah, they asked us to be on the show, and it was huge for me. I mean, it was definitely the most impactful thing I could have done ever in my business, and it helped, helped me even till today. It still helps me with a lot of things that I want to do, and so that was awesome. If you're trying to break into food media now, this is a very different environment than it was before. I work with celebrity chefs. In fact, some of the biggest celebrity chefs are owners of my footwear brand. And I just reached out to the other one of them yesterday, who has 3 shows on the Food Network. And I asked him about a show I'm trying to pitch. And he told me right now he's having trouble with all of his TV shows, and that he wouldn't recommend going anywhere right now for TV media because they don't know what they're doing. And Food Network was bought by Scripps was bought by HBO. And I hate to give you all this background, but just to understand that there's a lot of scar tissue, and it's hard to work around these different environments, because there isn't anyone responsible for Food Network's success anymore other than a parent company that doesn't care about them. And so this is what's beautiful. Right now, the algorithm on TikTok and the algorithm on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts is so agnostic to letting you do your thing. And so right now, someone with 3,000 followers can get 1 million views, and someone with 1 million followers can get 3,000 views. That's not what it was even a year and a half ago. And so if you want to get into food media, I'll give you the advice I just got from this big Food Network star, which is you get to own the intellectual property, which is the content you're making, and go out there and make it. And there's a lot of resources out there for how you can make better content, but you can share your unique point of view. I'm a culinary student learning how to do this for the first time. Watch me on my journey, and you get to have a unique point of view. Hey, this is what it's like to make French mother sauces for the first time. I wish I learned this going into making French mother sauce. That applies to a lot of chefs, right? If I'm a home chef and I didn't go to culinary school and I want to learn all of those traditional things, it's a little intimidating, And so by you saying, hey, I'm a culinary student learning this for the first time, you take away that intimidation that student has. And that's a really cool thing that only you guys in this room and maybe 1,000 other people at any given time in the US get to talk about. And that's a huge advantage. And so the internet is vast. There's 1 million people doing 1 million videos, yet somehow we just identified that there's less than 1,000 people that at this moment could be giving your unique point of view. So my suggestion is go out there and make content if that's what you want to do. And it could work.
I love that, right? You guys do that already though,
right? Yeah, we actually have Ellen Bennett, who is, also speaking of collaborations. How do you start, and how do you market that working with other people?
Yeah.
And then maybe transition into talking about snips. You guys all know about Snibs, his shoe work.
Yeah, so you guys get the luck of being with class with Ellen, right? Yeah. So I've known Ellen for a long time, 10 plus years. She's an amazing rock star entrepreneur. So, yeah. I remember with her one night I wasn't feeling well, and it was like 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. and she's like, I'm getting off work right now. And I was like, we need to make chicken stock from scratch so I can have a really good bone broth tomorrow. And like we were up till like 2 a.m. making this chicken bone broth, and I was like, it was not the right idea at this time. But yeah, so collaborations, like I think I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about my food truck, but I really do believe in this, which is you stand on the back of giants to get taller. And like, by me offering you my food truck class for free, right? Like, okay, is that going to make or break your career? No way. Like, right? But if you want to start a food truck, will that teach you what took me 15 years to learn? Yes, it will. It will definitely speed things up. And so every time you get an opportunity to work with someone that's done something that you want to do or that where you're going, you get so much out of it, whether it's the experience alone, whether it's the community and the network, the audience, like there's a lot of different things you get out of collaborations. Right now, I have 4 mentors I talk to on a bi-weekly basis. And one of them sold his company. He does all the concessions for all of the stadiums, Levy Group, Larry Levy. Another one built a $2 billion cosmetic brand twice as a female founder, right, with no money, outside money. Like these people are phenomenal entrepreneurs, and the reason why I talk about them is because they teach me so much. And so I feel like collaborations are a weird version of that, where you get to go into somebody else's world and learn how they do things. And I will use a very appropriate one. I did a collaboration with Headley and Bennett with Snips. And so I was waiting. So like I've been really close with Alan for a very long time, and I knew that our brand wasn't big enough yet to ask for a Headley and Bennett collaboration because they're crushing, right? And so I waited until we got some street cred, until people were like, hey, you make really great shoes for the industry. And that's when I approached her. And I knew she would probably say yes earlier, but it wasn't the right time. And so there was finding that moment. And then I asked to do the collaboration. It took us 1.5 years to identify the colors and the vibe that she wants. They're very picky there, which I appreciate. But I learned about their design process through that. And I learned how her and her husband, Casey, look at design, which is very different than how we look at design. And now I'm learning a new medium. When you're a chef and you're learning here, and then you get to go work at your first stage, and you get to go work with Neil Fraser at Redbird, and you get to see, oh, wow, this is how Redbird does their chicken. This is how they dry bind. This is how their cooking technique is different. And then you go work in another culinary kitchen. You get to learn. And that's what collaboration is. Like collaboration is this opportunity where you get to learn from these amazing people. And collaborating in your world right now might be with another culinary student where you guys make something that comes from one of the heritages that you grew up with, where you get to have a unique point of view. And so the more you get to do that, the better. And I think as I look at collaborations now, so we just launched one with Mozza with Nancy Silverton. So
Perfect.
yeah, I don't know if you guys know Nancy, but Nancy.
Oh, we love Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy's the queen.
Yeah.
So I just did a shoot with her. It took us 2.5 years to make. It took a really long time. We designed the outsole based on a pasta dish at a restaurant. We literally every part of that shoe is designed by her and her partner Liz, and it was like this amazing moment. And it took forever, but I learned so much from her in the process. But now Nancy and me are so tight. Like she literally texts me every day. Like we've become really close over the years. Like because we did this project together, I get to do fun pop-ups at her restaurant. I cooked at her house just a month ago. Like she introduced me to Renee of Noma, and I'm doing a food truck with them. Like it's insane how many things get to come out of one thing because you're collaborating and you're building rapport with them. And as you guys evolve in your culinary world, the network you build is as valuable as the cooking techniques that you learn. And so as you grow, she was just telling me she had this amazing job at arguably, I think, one of the best restaurants in the whole entire world, which is Bazaar, and she's managing the whole show. And we run into someone downstairs that she worked with while she was there. That's no coincidence. She crushed it in her industry for so long, and she's built this network where she gets to do all these amazing things and gets to help you guys do the same. And that's off of years of success. And that's a big part of collaborating as well.
Thank you for that. That's wonderful. And you have done so many diverse things, and I love how you have combined fashion, food, and all the things that are your passion, right?
Yeah.
How do you stay inspired? How do you harness that passion and turn it into something?
Yeah.
What's the secret that you have?
The secret is to know what you love. One thing that's, I think that's funny. It's like, I don't know if you're ready to hear this yet, or at what point of your career you will be ready to hear this. But the industry that you guys picked is my favorite industry in the world. I love chefs. I think that the art form is important to the culture. Even yesterday, I was just laughing because I have a newborn and I have my wife, and we have a live-in au pair that came from another country. And I realized that I structure the food and the menu for everyone all week. It's like kind of crazy. And I know everyone's dietary preferences. I know what they want when, how they like to eat it. It's crazy because I realize that I'm in charge of nourishment for my family, which is like something that you get as not even your career, as like a byproduct of what you guys are learning to do here. Is you will nourish and give hospitality and take care of your family and friends for the rest of their lives, which is so beautiful. And one of the things that's difficult is as you advance in your career, you don't cook as much. That is a realistic fact that it's like sucks. Some get to cook their whole life and their whole career. It depends on what role you want and where you want to go. But naturally, if you become a manager, some of your job is to manage. And so some less cooking, some more managing. If you become a general manager, okay, some less cooking, more managing. And that's kind of how it works. I don't know. It is what it is. And you can always stay true to menu development, which is where I landed. But I don't get to cook as much as I love to. Here's the thing, I love cooking. And it's a big part of my life. And if I don't get it, if I start to feel like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And so that's where I started cooking more for my family. That's where I do menu development. That's where I do collaborations. That's where I do more charity events, because at all the charity events, I'm the one cooking on the line. And so you find ways to stay passionate, even because I don't love the business. I love the business side because it helps me do more things, but I'm not like, oh, I got into this because I want to do numbers. But in the same time, the numbers are the backbone. And so it's important to find what you love and make sure you don't stray away from that. And everybody here has different things they love in the culinary space. You might love cooking, you might love hospitality, you might love front of house, you might love wine, you might love management, and that's where you shine. But making sure that whatever that is that fills your cup is on your agenda every day. And if it's not, you need to start to bring it back in. Do you guys know Ike from Ike's Place? You guys heard of Ike's Place, the sandwich shop? Okay, so Ike has 100 sandwich stores. He's crushing it. Every time there's a Subway that's about to fail, you'll see an Ike's there a month later. And I had Ike on my podcast, which, by the way, I have a podcast that talks all about the culinary entrepreneurs. And it has Nancy on it, it has Andrew Zimmer, and it has up-and-coming chefs. Ellen was on it just a few weeks ago. So this podcast, I interviewed Ike, and Ike has been through a lot. And I asked him, I said, how do you stay so in love? Because he is a sandwich creator. He's all he wants to do is make sandwiches. But right now, he's when you open 100 restaurants, there's a lot of work to do. And he said, I'm in a restaurant every day. And that's how I stay really passionate about what I get to do. And as long as I'm in the restaurant, even for an hour, making at least one sandwich a day, I feel like I'm doing my thing justice. And he writes down, he has a list of the things he loves to do, and he writes it down. And whenever he's feeling kind of uninspired, he looks at that list and he does one thing. So I don't know if you guys have started to figure out what you love yet. Is there anyone in the room who wants to share one thing they love? Yeah, tell me.
I love cake.
You love cake?
Cake.
Oh, yeah.
So
So cake, and that's a beautiful thing because there's a lot of occasions that need cake, and if there isn't, who doesn't want a cake there anyways, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's a cool thing. So knowing that that's something you're really passionate about, talking about it, doing more of it, and then if you find yourself going a week without cake, make someone a cake, right? That. It's not that hard, but at the same time, that act brings you right back to what you love. Yeah. And that's the cool thing here in this room is you get to use your hands, which that's really meditative. When you're on a computer typing away, doesn't trigger the same brain response.
Very, very true. Can you tell the students a little bit about what you look for when hiring people or working with people? And, I think managing people is probably the hardest thing in any industry, but tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Yeah. Who here is like looking to get a job in the culinary industry as soon as they get out? Okay.
Everybody raise your hand.
So, and how many of you feel like you have a good path to get there? Some of you? Okay. I'm going to give you what I believe is the number one tip to get a job anywhere. And then I will talk to you about what I think needs to happen when you come into a new position. So the number one thing is you would be surprised how little people do above the bare minimum. So what I mean by this is if I put a job ad out for a new position in my restaurant, I will get 200 applicants in the next week. That's a lot of applicants, right? Everybody does the exact same thing. It's an application. Sometimes it's a paragraph on top of the application. Most cases it's not. And that's it. And then they wait to see if they get a call. And sure, maybe that will work, right? But like, that's you applying to 20 places, and it's the first person that calls you. They set your culinary career in motion. No, this isn't the way to do it. This isn't the way that you're going to start your life. You need to identify the places that you want to work. You need to get specific. The more specific you get in life, the more fun it is. You guys everyone thinks the job market is so hard out there, and the restaurants are closing, and this, that, and the other. And sure, yes, all those things are true. But you guys are culinary school graduates, and those are hard to come by in the industry. It's hard to find young people who are passionate about food. In fact, I've put a million job ads out there. When I get one of those people, we hire them all the time because they're so rare. So you need to make yourself stand out from the pack. Okay, so there's two ways to do this. I'm getting in my mode here because I really want to help you guys with this. So the number one way is if you look for, so work backwards. Find the places you want to work, and then if that doesn't work and you don't know where you want to work, you can go online to see who are the people hiring. Okay, don't just apply. If you're going to apply, write a cover letter that's custom. Okay, that already is going to get you the interview. Mark my words. That alone is going to get you the interview. With no experience, write a cover letter, you're going to get the interview. But what I would recommend over that is FaceTime. Every restaurant has downtime. What do you guys think the downtime is in a restaurant? After lunch. All right, smart man over there. After lunch is always the downtime in a restaurant. Or if they're only open dinner, after lunch. So after lunch is the best time because they'll do family meal or whatever, and the managers start to get there right around lunchtime. So you get into the restaurant and you nicely say, is there any manager that I can borrow a second of? They're always busy. Everyone in the restaurant is always busy. Everyone's always prepping. It might not be the right time, okay? And that's okay. But what you're doing is you're getting the manager and you're handing off a resume. And you say, hey, would you mind if I ask you a few questions? If they're busy. If not, they'll interview you on the spot. By the way, they will interview you on the spot 9 times out of 10. However, if they don't, you ask them when a good time to come back is. But you going into the store with a cover letter and a resume is like, it's a done deal. Like you literally, like the odds of you getting that job now are almost like unmatched. And then comes the moment of truth, the interview. Okay, so in the interview, you want to be true to who you are. Hey, I'm a culinary school graduate. I have X amount of experience. I don't really have experience. Whatever it is, but I'm passionate and I'm here to learn, and I will do whatever it takes to grow in this environment. The number one missing piece of a culinary school, of a new hire is being proactive. It's the number one thing missing in all jobs. If you can come into that restaurant and say, hey, I'm here to do what it takes, teach me. I want to learn. I want to grow. And then when the moment comes to do that, you have to. So one of the number one things I do in my restaurant is I like to promote dishwashers. Although I love dishwashers and I think they're awesome, I think the mentality of a dishwasher is get shit done. If you look at a dish pit, they have a million dishes. They don't go, oh man, a million dishes. They just grab one at a time and they start cleaning until the dish pit's clean. That person has a true intrinsic value, a core value of old employees that I love, which is if I'm in the restaurant, I clean shit. I'll go into the dish pit and clean. I don't care. If dishes aren't with my expo person, we don't have a plate to put food on, the whole restaurant's ruined anyways. So like to think that there's any more valuable position in a restaurant doesn't really exist to me. Everybody has value there. So what you want is you want that personality to come in there and just say, hey, I'm here to fight. I'm here to do what you need. I've noticed that the people that come to the manager, and by the way, the person hiring might not be your manager. A lot of times it is, but if it's not, you want to come to your manager and say the same thing. Hey, they just hired me. I'm here to do whatever it takes to teach me. And I remember, so I think I briefly told you, when I was 19, I had a job that I started that same business. It's a crazy job. I was managing a law firm at 19 years old. I was making $200,000 a year. I was the youngest manager they've ever seen. It's almost unheard of. Why is a 19-year-old managing a bunch of attorneys and salespeople? But it's because I went into the boss's office the first day and I said, hey, I just got hired here. Don't promote me tomorrow. Don't promote me 5 years from now, but keep an eye on me. I'm going to exceed all your expectations and I'm here to do the best I can possibly do. And then sure enough, I showed up first and I left last every day. 6 months I was managing the whole firm. It's like that. It's that ability where every business owner, every manager, every employer wants people that they can grow. That's the hardest thing. Like my whole company's mission is to elevate the worker, and my life's goal is to make better lives for my employees. There's only one way to do that, which is I empower my employees. But can I empower an employee that doesn't want to be empowered? That doesn't let me know that they want to advance in their career? So I know this is like a long way to say like getting hired is just about going above and beyond what everybody else is doing. And it's as simple as a cover letter. It's as good as going in and introducing yourself and letting them know that you're here to fight, to do whatever it takes to be the best employee there. Identifying who you want to work for makes you more, makes you show up different. If I don't know, you guys been to Bone Kettle in this neighborhood? I love Eric. So I love Bone Kettle. If you go in there and you say, hey, Eric, I followed you since your food truck days. I think it's so cool that you and your brother are making food that is an homage to your family. Eric will get goosebumps and he will hire you. It's about like knowing when you're going in, and if you're passionate about that restaurant, you'll be able to talk differently to them about it. If you're going to that restaurant, you don't know anything about them, and you're just coming in there like kind of green, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm here because you guys are offering a job. Why do you want to work here? Well, if you're offering a job, I need a job. It's not going to do anything. So it's about passion. It's about going above and beyond. It's about showing that you want to improve, and I will 100% promise you that manager or that owner will do that. And if they don't, it's not a good place to work. Because I guess it depends on what you guys want. If you guys want to just work at a restaurant and that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, I would say, okay, then go work there, right? But if you want to advance in your career, you guys took a harder path. You went to culinary school because I imagine you want to be leaders of your industry at one point. And so if that's what you want, you need to go find people who are going to take that from you and teach and train you to be those people.
I love that, don't you guys? That's wonderful. I mean, I think I tell the students too that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So find the place that works, right? I think it's time for questions. I know there's going to be lots of questions out there. So Angie has the microphone and she'll go around. So right here.
Oh, behind you. Behind.
Oh, look at that.
Okay. I just have a question about the catering aspect. When you say catering, do you mean like you're taking the truck to events, or how does that work?
Yeah, so for food truck catering, that would just be, like let's say you guys were like, hey, we wanted to do a student appreciation day. We're going to pay for all the students, and then we pull up our truck and just feed everybody. Yeah.
Okay, so it is.
It's like pretty traditional catering. Yeah, we do. So we'll do like concerts and venues like that, but selectively, because like I need to make sure that they're good and they have like history of being successful. I literally cover this as a chapter of the masterclass, and I also have a book on how to start a food truck. So in case anyone wants to start a food truck, I can give you all my resources. But yeah, it's making sure you pick the right event is really important. And then catering, it means like paying people in advance, people paying in advance.
Perfect.
Hi, my question is about your shoes. So right now I'm a sous chef at Table Mountain Casino, and I do like 23,000 steps a day.
Nice.
So how comfy are your shoes, and will they last?
Yeah, so 23,000 steps a day is insane. Good for you, man. That's a lot. So no shoe is gonna last that long when you're working that much on your feet. So we did a test with like a biomechanics facility where they put robots in shoes and they like test it out. These guys build the robots for Nike and stuff. Our shoe lasts 2.5 times the shoes for cruise. So like if you were to take the industry standard, yeah, we're lasting 2.5 times longer. But like on your usage level, you have to be replacing your shoes like every 6 months. Like yeah. It's just, and that's even like pushing it, which I know you need to because they're expensive. And then like what kind of shoe you buy, like you should be buying something. Are you a server or what are you doing at your?
I'm a sous chef.
Why are you? How's that?
I'm a part of two departments, catering and production. So production and catering are two separate sides of the casino. So I'm going literally running back and forth if we forget anything.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I've done that. When I was doing it on my feet, I'm like, I normally tackle like 10. That's a lot. But yeah, I mean, that's a big casino. So I would say then, the other thing is you probably want to find the right shoe. So like, we have a shoe that it has a high energy return, which means that every time you take a step, the foam gives you 70% of your step back. So you like don't need as many steps or as much pressure to get that bounce. But like that's the Orbit, which is our shoe that's meant for front of house. Our back of house shoe, which is our Space Cloud, which is like my favorite shoe in the world, doesn't have any energy return. So if you wore that on a day where you were doing 25,000 steps, you would be like really kind of sore. So like, but most chefs don't do that, right? Most chefs stand in one place. So that's why we built that shoe for them. This shoe is more back of house, I would say. Like I would say because you're walking so much, you're more of a front of house need. But like the Hesley Bennett shoe that we launched, that has the energy return. That shoe is epic. So we have good shoes for that. If you want, at the end of this, there's going to be like my socials. I'll hook you guys up to. We're doing Black Friday right now, which is 25% off. But if you want a pair of shoes, anyone here, I'll give you guys 40% off, which is like our cost. So that's a way for you guys to try out the shoes.
I'll take some now.
Yeah, you can try it out. But yeah, that shoe, the Orbit or the Rover, will hopefully help you out. And then the shoes are dope. We've been doing it for 4.5 years. I had a slip and fall when I was 23, right before the opening of my restaurant in downtown LA. And slipped disc, herniated disc. I still have pain, like almost 20 years later. And I was like, why isn't anyone making good work shoes? They all look like shit. They don't feel good. They're not cool. So I partnered with like a top orthopedic surgeon, and then my high school best friend who's a restaurateur. And for 5 years, we reinvented the work shoe. And it's crazy. We took it to that same facility, that biomechanics facility, and our shoe tested #1 of all the shoes they've ever tested for insole and midsole resilience, which is like what protects your back when you're standing on your feet all day. So it's pretty cool. And then we do collaborations with chefs. We give back to our community. It's a very, I care about us. Like all these people making shoes for the industry don't give a shit about us. Shoes for Crews, like Skechers. Like Skechers doesn't even have a work department, considering that like 10% of their business is work. So like we're doing something kind of special where we give back to the community. Really cool.
I love that.
Thanks for that question. I didn't talk about shoes.
We have 3 questions.
That's a cool job, by the way. That's a hard job, man. Yeah, I love it. How long have you been doing it? Oh,
Yeah, sorry, you can.
Bernardo.
How do you deal with food purchasing in a food truck since you don't have that real estate for a big pantry or walk-in like a restaurant does?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's a few ways. Like you could go to Restaurant Depot more often. Like that's one way where you just buy more frequently. We use Performance Food Group, like this is like a Cisco, like one of the big distributors, and they charge us for our second delivery because we don't order enough for 2 deliveries a week. So that was one way. It's like more deliveries. Also, in our food truck, there is a commissary where like you could buy like sodas and water and stuff like that. They rent fridge space, so I buy a piece of fridge space from them. But like on really big weeks, it is like a really point of contention. So you could get like a commercial kitchen as the alternative, but like again, then you're managing 2 different things, and I didn't want to do that. I think it's more work. So what I do now is every time I build it, because I'm at the point now where I can build food trucks custom to my specs, I have 2 times the normal amount of refrigeration and freezer space, and then I rent fridge and freezer space from the commissary. That's how I deal with it. But yeah, I would say the other way is more frequent deliveries. And then if you're doing enough business where you are outgrowing that, you then typically can get a commercial space because it's not just you. You have like employees and teams and stuff like that. So that's when it makes sense to do like a commissary for your food trucks or like a commercial kitchen space.
It's okay.
You said in the beginning that you created a new menu every day for your food truck. How did you figure out what you're going to put for your menu or offerings?
So we found out there was this thing called a sell list from our meat purveyor, which was typically scraps of things they were doing for other vendors. So like we would have hanger steak trimmings, or we would have this, and we would look at that sell list every day and we just order off the sell list, and then we'd get the ingredient. And then there's a produce supplier called Melissa's that we were really close with, and Melissa's would just give us like cool stuff that they wanted to see on menus. And so they're like, as long as you make content out of it, we'll just give it to you. So like the only way we made it work because the food cost was so high because we were doing such crazy stuff. But yeah, so we basically would get the ingredients and we'd figure out how we wanted to pair them. And me and my business partner at the time, every night would just come back and like we'd crack open a beer or whatever it was, and like we'd be like, okay, this is on the sell list. What do we need to match it from produce, and what are they giving us in produce for free? And then we would just kind of like correlate those items, and then yeah, we would make them. And then what we would do is like throughout the day we'd like based on what we had left on the truck, we would like kind of change them up and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a really like iterative process. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, you know?
I think it's really cool that you prioritize giving back to the community. Is that something that you look for in your partners? I know you mentioned, other chefs are involved in this business, and is it challenging at times to like make that a priority as you grow bigger?
I don't think so. I think as you get bigger, until you get more resources to do more, I think there is like always a question of bandwidth. Like I don't have the biggest team, right? So every time I want to do something new, is it like, should we sell more shoes or should we donate to the community? But I've been really blessed in my life. Like honestly, I've made everything I've had in front of me. Like I've been the one who originated it, but I also grew up in Orange County. I grew up in California. Like it's like I know that I've been given things, and like when I lost my house in the fire, and I was dealing with all of that crazy stuff, and like my wife was 7 months pregnant. I think the only thing that made me feel better was donating meals and donating shoes and like being out there like on my food truck giving back. So I feel like, as you establish like who you are, you just do those things. And so I would say as a business, probably right, like as you get much bigger, it's easier, but there's probably this inflection point where like where you're a small business, it's hard because every time you give back, it takes away from something else. But I just feel like, I don't know, it's a responsibility. Like, I just feel really blessed, and I feel like the more I can give back and the more I can help you guys, like, I don't know, it leads to a higher power. And here's the weirdest thing. So I had a kid 7 months ago, and I would say as much as I like to give back, I always think about it self-servingly. Like, I give back because that's what I would want, like, a leader to do in my community, or, like, that's what a great business should do. Like, I would always kind of, like, put these kind of narratives in my mind. And when I had my daughter, you don't sleep. You do all this stuff for your daughter, and your daughter doesn't say thank you or really like care. You're like, it's just like kind of like this experience where you have to give, and that taught me like more how to be more selfless. And like I'm seeing that more and more, which is like, and I think the world is one of these things where you give what you get. Like energy is like that, and so the more you can give, I think the more you get. And I saw that through the fires. I got a lot out of that, but I gave so much too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Questions? Right here. Oh.
So you mentioned that you make your own food trucks. Do you fabricate food trucks for other entrepreneurs as well?
Great question. I've done it. It's not a big part of my business, but like, yeah, I help other food truck operators. Yeah, I mean, if it was something you really wanted to do, here's the thing. Like, I'll always, if I can help, right? If it's going to take a lot of my time, then it's a different question. But like, if you're like, hey, who's the best food truck manufacturer and like who's going to take the best care of me? Like, I've done all of that like work. Like, I've built trucks for other people. Like, so I'm happy to help throughout the process. If it's something where it's going to be hours and hours, like then there's a consulting agreement, and my time is pretty expensive. So it's like, and here's the thing, I always tell you that. So I'm like, hey, you could probably get this from someone else for cheaper, or oh no, like I can really help you in that process. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you really want to start a food truck.
Yeah, cheap isn't always good. So I don't need cheap, but cheap ain't always good. So
Yeah. Well, however I can help. I mean, I would say at the end of this, I'll put up my a QR code that has like all my stuff. Just reach out to me. What's your name?
Amani.
Amani, nice to meet you. So if you want to reach out to me, I'll see what I can do to help you.
Thank you.
Then from there we can figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah. But again, I would tell you to lease a food truck first.
Ew.
No, it's the best. It's honestly, because you have to really see if it's like the right vibe. And you can always buy your food truck 6 months later. But it's my strongest recommendation because you'll learn so much in that process that you might design your food truck differently.
True. Questions? Any other questions?
Right here?
Over there.
There's any one of those mics you can throw.
I know, right?
Hi Daniel, my name is Han and I'm Vietnamese. So in your book you said like you would drive 40 minutes to get to the world's best banh mi place.
Yeah.
And what is that place? And
So my favorite banh mi place, honestly, it ended up coming closer, but I really like Lee's, which is really weird, but I like Lee's. It's fine. It's like, it hits the spot. But my favorite pho place is Pho 79. God, it's so good. Have you been there? It's on Brookhurst. It's closer to Orange County, but man, that place is insane.
Really?
Yeah. But they've won every year for like 30 years, so they're not open 3 days a week. They're open like not on lunch on Wednesdays. It's like I don't know. It's become like a fun thing for them. But yeah, I think Vietnamese food is so good.
Any other questions?
No.
I have one question. So you mentioned Renee and Noma food truck.
Yeah.
Those three things, just tell more.
It's still very early days, but so if you guys know Noma, it's like best restaurant, one of the best restaurants in the world. I got lucky enough to go there opening night in Copenhagen a few years ago. But they're coming and doing a pop-up in LA, which is pretty exciting in spring. And they're going to do a little retail store somewhere kind of like in like somewhere on Sunset, maybe like Echo Park, Silver Lake area. And so they want to do a food truck activation for their chefs on the weekends.
Oh.
So it won't be with Renee directly, but I'm
Yeah.
sure Renee will be, will have some of his hands on it at some point. But yeah, going in Renee's kitchen and a food truck are very different.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Though,
Yeah.
Right?
I'm excited for it.
Any final thoughts or words you'd like to give our students?
Here, we'll put that up too, if that's okay. I would say, you're at this like really beautiful time in the world where AI is like coming for a lot of things, and I have an AI business that's related in food, and like I see what it's doing, and like I think about this stuff all the time. Like, if autonomous driving is going to happen, at one point food trucks are not going to need drivers, and if there's also autonomous chefs, like you saw that there's a restaurant here that has like that burger flipper, and Miso Robotics is in your guys' building, right? Like, so there's definitely going to be like low-level skills that are going to be replaced by robotics. And like, at one point, is a food truck going to be fully automated then? Like, are we going to see it drive with no human and make food with no human? Like, it's very possible, right? And so as I think about like your guys' future, one of the things that I think is like, you have this amazing moment to home craft and to be an artist and to actually look at your form as an art form, which everyone necessarily doesn't have like AI coming to disrupt them. And so as you think about the next 10 years of your career, like, get obsessed with the details. That's something that you can never, like, someone else is not going to be able to do. And so if you're thinking about cake, like, how do you become the best cake person? And then think about that place. Like, close your eyes and imagine, like, hey, I'm the best cake maker in all of California or all of the US or all of the world. What are you doing? Like, what does showing up to your kitchen look like? Where is your kitchen? What are you making on a daily basis? And start to hone in that feeling, and then start to build a plan to get there. And I think that's what makes people successful, is they have a vision of where they want to go, because it's really hard to get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. And so if you think about where you want to be, be ambitious. Like, you know, what would be like the thing that would make you fill your cup? And then think about how you're going to get there, and make sure that it's not going to get replaced by something else. Like, because you guys have that ability where if you are really good, nobody's coming for your job. But if you're not very good, it's definitely coming for your job. So like getting to be that skilled is pretty cool, and embracing like the future of what it's going to be, because the food industry is an evolution, and it's definitely changing pretty rapidly. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, and here I have a QR code. It's here. This has like all my stuff. Like I mentioned, I have a podcast that I think would be helpful for you guys to listen to. I have my book. I have my masterclass. The masterclass, if you just email me, I will give to you for free. And then for shoes, I have to. Yeah, it's the same. You have to email me. So just email me if you want a pair of shoes, and I'll send you a discount code. And then, yeah, anything else? Oh, I'm going to help you. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, got it. All right, well, thank you for having me.
Daniel, that was amazing. Thank you so much.